All right, just to honor everybody's time, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have with us tonight Mrs. Winch, who has the last third of the alphabet. She has P through Z except for T. We also have Miss Chevermont, who has the middle of the alphabet, H through O. And then I'm Laura Keither. I have the beginning third of the alphabet, A through G and T. And as you have senior students, we have probably communicated lots over the last couple of years and really excited that your students are seniors now. I remember when we first had our ELT students with us, and now they're seniors, and some good memories with them. So I also want to let you know that we are recording this. So if you have any parent friends who weren't able to make it tonight, that's okay. We're going to record it and post it to the high school website underneath parent presentations. So if you missed something, you wanted a link to something, or you just have a friend maybe who wasn't able to attend tonight, we will be posting this to the high school website. We also will not be opening up microphones. We've done this for many years now and find that if we just have you put questions in chat, either during the presentation or at the end, Ms. Chevermont and Ms. Winch will work on answering those as I continue on talking. And then if there's anything for the good of the group, then we will answer that at the end. So I find that every time I have a conversation with a student and a parent, we are also learning new things. And so you are all very knowledgeable, but I think we have some new things with us here tonight that'll be helpful. Certainly, if there's something specific for your student that you want answered, feel free to shoot us an email. I'm happy to answer that. If you want to get together with us in our offices or meet virtually, whatever works best, give us a phone call, all the things, happy to do so if you feel like you have some specific questions that you want to have answered. So if we continue on here, as I mentioned, we'll have questions at the end. Feel free to put them in there if they're coming to your mind right away. If it's something applicable, they'll just answer it really quickly for you as I'm talking. Otherwise, we'll just wait till the end and make sure. Also, keep in mind, you might want to keep that chat box up because as I talk about specific websites or resources, Ms. Chevermont and Ms. Winch are going to be putting those links in the chat so that you can click on those right away and be able to open those up in your browser. I did introduce myself, Ms. Chevermont and Ms. Winch, but we also have a couple of other ladies who make our days so much better and run much more smoothly. So we have Jen Van Asten as our admin assistant and Julie Patry as our registrar. So if you call our office, you're probably going to get connected with one of them first, and they'll get you connected with us. But they can, super knowledgeable, can answer a lot of the questions that you might have as well. Just a quick recap, making sure that you and your senior understand that they have 26 total credits to complete towards graduation. I can assure you that the three of us have looked over student transcripts several times over the last year, and certainly as we are rolling here into the school year and have connected with your student if they're missing anything. So everything is in there that they need for graduation in our books. Keep in mind, though, that if there are schedule changes that you and your student would like to have happen, we would just advise that if your student has sent transcripts to colleges, technical colleges, military, all the things at this point in time, that they advise their admissions counselor prior to making any schedule changes. So colleges have admitted them or are working on admission process for them based on the transcript that was sent. So if there are any major changes to transcripts, you would want to work with your admissions counselor first. And then if they give you the green light, then certainly we are happy to make those changes with your approval. So just sort of a heads up on that process there. Also, friendly reminder that students need 36 hours of volunteer hours logged to participate in graduation. That is due on April 15th, 2025. Melissa Lola is our Youth Service Learning Coordinator this year. So her email address is right on here for you. She's super responsive to email, also pulling kids in during ELT or when your student or she have some free time to walk them through logging, or if they run into any issues. And the website that we are using this year is pathwayos.com. So that link will be put in the chat. It's also available on the high school website, getting those in there. Also encouraging your student to keep in mind that 36 is the requirement to participate in graduation, but also if they're looking at scholarships, some scholarships are looking at over 100 hours. Some are just looking for more than the 36. I know the local scholarship, which is a big popular one that students apply for, they get more points towards the process if they have more than the 36. So keep in mind that if they have those done, to continue to log them, get those out of the way, because it opens the door for some other opportunities there as well. So we know that our students are going lots of different directions, and we want to make sure that we're supporting them in whatever that is. So we know that we have students going directly into the workforce, which is pretty amazing. I don't know. I think I honor our students who are doing that, but they also have some things that they can be working on to make sure that they are ready to graduate, go right into the workforce. Certainly creating that resume. We are hearing from employers, HR directors, and they still do want a resume. We actually just interviewed an intern for us for next year, looking that far ahead, and she had created a whole bound laminated book with her transcript in it, some headshots, some information about herself, like an essay she had created. So gone are the times of just a single page resume, but really creating that profile about yourself and showcasing your skills is really what employers, HR directors, hiring teams are looking for. Also making sure that they're developing those soft skills. So we know that our students' generation is really into communicating through technology, which is great, but you also have to be able to have those conversations face to face and be comfortable with that. I have students come in and they're like, oh, I just, talking to people or doing speeches or, presentations is really nerve-wracking for me. I really don't like doing it. And I say, you know what? When I was upstairs feeding my kids dinner, I was also really nervous about my presentation tonight, and it's working through that. I don't know that everybody is comfortable with it. It's probably a very small population who's really into doing presentations, and it's okay to be nervous, but working through that is okay. But certainly developing that communication skill, not only the face-to-face, but professional communication through email, all the forms of technology that we have. So communication can look a lot of different ways, working with groups of people, communicating with them, and then also that time management. So I'm sure you have all been working on that with your seniors, but just great life skills there. If they can gain experience over the next year, whether that's a part-time job, an internship, volunteering, make sure that they're doing that. Anything that they can understand what the job is that they're interested in, showing that they put that extra step into making sure that they know what it's about and know what it all entails and how they're ready to continue moving forward with that is going to give them that extra step up in the workforce. Making sure that they're researching careers. I met with a student today and she said, I still don't really know what I want to do. And I said, that's totally okay, but make sure that you're taking steps in the right direction to gain knowledge. So research those careers, or I think that there's a lot of knowledge in knowing what you don't like to do, cross things off the list, and then start looking in different directions from those areas. So there's a lot of knowledge in knowing what you don't want to do as well. We talked about this a little bit already, but improving those digital skills. So learn the tools such as Microsoft Office and Google Workspace. Our kids are so tech savvy, but just making sure that they're using those in appropriate ways and appropriate communication, capitalization, periods are still things that our kids need to work on. Networking, I know Mr. Rietveldt and Mr. Ellenbecker, Mr. Herbst attended some networking things at UW Oshkosh where they just did some mock interviews, but ended up hiring one of their students as one of our staff members because it was such a good interview, right? So it's all about who you know, the connections that you have, reaching out to those friends and family and getting in some of those events because you never know where those might lead. I mentioned, practicing interviews. Having that be something that your student is prepared for. We are happy to do, mock interviews and set those things up for students. We have community members who would love to be able to help our students and get them polished and professional, making sure not only that they're able to communicate professionally in an interview and represent themselves, but also how they dress, making sure that that is still something that they're dressing professionally for that interview, regardless of the workforce or the direction they're going in for that interview. And then learning workplace etiquette, right? So understanding that professional behavior, how do you talk? How do you dress? How do you show up on time? So I think that those are things that we can all work on, including our seniors. But certainly, if we have students who are going right into the workforce, they need to be ready a little bit before maybe our students who are headed in a different direction. So if you have any questions about that, we do have some resources through some of our CISA 6 connections and our Inspire connections. We're happy to work on some of those things with your students. If you feel like maybe that's an area that you have preached to them and they just are not quite listening, we're happy to support you and your student in that. We do also have not majority, but several of our students who are going into the military, and there's certainly work that they can be doing to prep for that as well. So certainly taking a look at what military branch is the right fit for them, looking at the jobs and the requirements for each branch and figuring out which one they feel like is the calling for them. Certainly working on their physical fitness, not something that they want to start right before they go to boot camp or basic training, whatever direction that is for them, but having it be something that they're continuing to build on right now. Certainly meeting with a recruiter. We do have recruiters. I believe it's on the next slide or a couple from this one, but meeting with a recruiter is just a great place to start. They do come into our commons every Wednesday. They rotate through branches. So your student can just walk up, have a conversation with them. I think they usually I walked past the other day, they were doing pull-up competition. So they have fun things going on to get students to come up and talk to them. I have had in the past students who are just like, I'm not really comfortable walking up and having a serious conversation with a recruiter in front of the entire student body at lunch. We are happy to reach out to those recruiters and set up meetings in our counseling office where they can meet with that recruiter one-on-one. We oftentimes do also invite parents to come in for that because that's something that you should also be a part of as well. So having those meetings with recruiters, talking about yourself and what programs they have within their branch and what's the best fit for you. Also taking a look at the ASVAB. So the ASVAB is the applied aptitude test, looking at what skills do those students have, and that can also help them determine which branch to go into, but also once they've determined a branch, it helps them determine what job they will have and eligibility within that branch. Academic performance. Sometimes kids think I'm going into the military, it doesn't really matter. Well, actually, recruiters do ask for our transcripts for students with permission. They're looking at, are they completing graduation successfully? How do they behave in school? What sorts of skills are they lacking that we can identify or we're getting feedback from teachers or administrators on? So academic performance is still a big deal right up until the end. Students can also join JROTC, so provides military experience and leadership skills while they're still in high school or even then moving on, maybe if they're going to college as well. We always tell kids, have good behaviors, stay out of legal trouble. Majority of our students are doing a really great job with that, but every once in a while there's sometimes a little hiccup, but just demonstrating responsibility and maintaining their eligibility for joining the military. And then there are officer programs. So consider the ROTC or the military academies for officers training if you're interested in those leadership roles. Now we know statistically, we have about 60% of our student body is going 4-year in technical college. Miss Chevermont, you jinxed me. Hang on a second here. So if we're looking at that traditional application, students should be working on that right now. Colleges are telling us that they really want students to hit that November 1st deadline. So if you think about like November 1st to me is like sort of Halloween, right? So if your student is going out on Halloween, whether doing trick-or-treating or they're handing out candy, whatever it is that your family does at Halloween, please make sure that if they're applying to 4-year universities or technical colleges, that their college applications are submitted prior to that deadline or those things that you do around Halloween. So oftentimes colleges do require an essay. It's usually pretty vague and students can take as much creativity with that as they want. But they can log into college applications now. They can start entering in information and then they can save it. Through that, they can also take a look at what the essay is. I always tell kids just copy and paste that essay prompt into a Google Doc, start working on it, share it with your parents, share it with your teacher, get it in final draft form, and then copy and paste it back into the application and submit it. So um, certainly something that we want to look professional. It shouldn't be something that is quickly written out, but a formal essay is in there. ACT scores, certainly part of the application process. Now, I'm dating myself a little bit here, but college AC or ACT scores used to be a really big deal. And they're still looked at in some cases, but they don't hold as much weight as they have in years past. So much so that they're optional through 2027 for the UW system. Those scores do need to be sent through the student portal of ACT. Students can put those through whenever they register to take the ACT their junior year. So if they already sent those off to colleges, wonderful, they don't have to do anything. If they decided on a different college that they would like it sent to from when they took the ACT, they just need to go back into their ACT account and have that be sent. Some colleges do still like to see it. Some like to see it for scholarships. Some like to take a look at it for placement scores. So the optional piece is just for admissions, but they do sometimes still like to see scores for scholarships or placement testing. So it just depends on the college. And they've all sort of switched back and forth over the years. So I would say reach out to those individual colleges on if that's something that they truly want to see, if that score is something that helped your student shine, or if it didn't help them shine, then maybe that's something that you don't send off with their admissions information there. Transcripts, there's two ways that your students can send their transcripts to colleges. The easiest way is through a website we use called Scrib Order. So Stacy, I'll put that in our chat right now, but Scrib Order is just an electronic request. We used to send them through snail mail. We can do way better than that. Scrib Order just sends them electronically. Current students, it is free to have those sent, unlimited sends, so they can send that. And oftentimes colleges do only want it officially from the school. Email doesn't always count unless maybe they're just looking at some credits or you're asking them to advise you on how credits would transfer, but they do want that officially sent through Scrib. Students can also do it through Zello. It's a little clunky through Zello, so we've sort of been pushing the Scrib Order. And then the last piece of college applications would be looking at letters of recommendation. So we do have a packet that students can fill out. It's just printed and stapled right outside our counseling office called Senior Profile. Oftentimes students will fill that out, make multiple copies of it. And if they're asking for letters of recommendation for admissions or for scholarships, that's really nice to hand to the person who's being the recommender. And that gives them some opportunities to maybe beef up the letters of recommendation a little bit. So for example, when I'm writing a letter of recommendation for a student, I don't know all aspects, right? I don't maybe know some of the clubs or activities that they're in. I don't know what sort of job they have, philosophies, outlook on life, right? Like what all of their goals are. So that Senior Profile is really nice to create a well-rounded letter, not just about the little pieces that we know about students. If you're applying to UW-Madison, they do have their own recommendation process. So use their website if requesting a letter from someone. So it just looks a little bit different in that case. Not all colleges require letters of recommendation. So just take a look at that and be prepared if it is part of that process so that you can hit that November 1st deadline without any hiccups in there. And again, Ms. Chevrolet was Switch and I feel like we are very, very knowledgeable about the process, but if you're looking at some specific colleges, best bet to reach out to the admissions department of those individual colleges to get that final advice or the final word on what they would like. Now, new this year would be Direct Admit Wisconsin. So Direct Admit initiative by the UW system. So in the spring of last year, juniors opted into Direct Admit. Direct Admit then connected, like University of Wisconsin system connected with our Skyward system, and Ms. Patry worked with them on putting in certain codes and information into students' transcripts. And then that was how students got admitted who opted into Direct Admit. Students would have been sent a letter home in July, letting them know which University of Wisconsin that they were admitted to. So it would have been a two-page letter, has a nice UW emblem on the front of it, and it also lets them know next steps. So this was a pretty cool program, took some of the barriers down for students who maybe were a little intimidated by the old school application process. But the thing I want to emphasize to you right now as senior parents is that if your student opted into the direct admit program for the universities of Wisconsin, they do then need to log in and complete the document that lets the UW system know which campus they plan on attending, if that's the direction they want to go. There's a lot of resources out there. There's no fee for accepting the admission offers. So just make sure that you know that there is a next step. They can't just say, oh, I was accepted to 10 universities, but at some point we got to move forward with the next step. So make sure that you are referring to that letter or going to the direct admit website so that you're finalizing that process with your students. The other program that's out there, and we want to make sure that you're aware of, is the Wisconsin Guarantee. So this is a state law that was put in through the UW system as well. And it is students who are top 5% are directly admitted to Madison. Students who are top 10% are then directly admitted to the rest of the UW system schools. Now, there's been some back and forth, but the things that we do know about this is that we are reporting those things on senior transcripts. So if they're top 5% or top 10%, that is included on their transcripts officially that we send to universities at the student's request. The way then universities know if they plan on attending there is that they do need to apply. So once students submit their application, and then the schools receive their transcript, those pieces are put together. The deadline for that is the early action deadline, which is November 1st. So keeping in mind, again, that's a great program that students are directly admitted, but there is, steps that you have to take. It doesn't just magically happen. So make sure that you're working with your students on that November 1st deadline. So again, top 5% directly admitted to Madison, top 10% are directly admitted to the rest of UW system schools, and that would be their final junior year grades that's factored in for. So if you have any questions, that can be a little bit confusing. We're still learning with that, and UWs have just recently started doing a little bit better job of educating us on that. So, but those are the things we know. The November 1st deadline. We do oftentimes have some questions about what's the difference between early action, early decision. The thing to keep in mind is that early decision is binding, meaning that you may need to make your decision early, and early action is not binding. So whenever you're applying, just make sure that your student understands how they're applying. There's also, you may hear the term rolling admission. So if your student doesn't sound like they like early action or early decision sounds like something that they're familiar with, it could just be that they're applying under rolling admission, which is there as well. Keeping in mind that early action allows students to apply to other schools and take more time to decide, whereas early decision requires a commitment upon the acceptance. Some strategic considerations, early decision can demonstrate a strong interest in that school. So that's saying, hey, school, if you admit me, I'm 100% going to you, I'm committed to you, you're my number one choice, and that's where I'm going. But it does then limit students' ability to compare the financial aid offers, which sometimes our kids will apply to multiple schools and just wait to see who's going to send them the best scholarship package or the best financial aid package. So it both allows students the admissions earlier than regular decision applications or that rolling admission. So just keep in mind that's the difference between the two. And if your student is applying under one of those specifically, what that means. As we mentioned, we do have a large percentage of our student body who's going technical college as well. We have a lot of great technical colleges throughout the state of Wisconsin, but I would say the majority of our students are staying close to home and checking out Fox Valley Tech. They have a lot of great programs, work really closely with our students, and they have an open house coming up on October 8th. So Tuesday, October 8th from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Appleton campus. You can learn about all their programs, and they actually waive the application fee if you attend on that night. We do need you to let us know if you would like your transcript sent over there. I'm happy to get that for you ahead of time. If you would like to carry that along with you, your student can request an unofficial unofficial, just so that college or Fox Valley Tech can see what they have if you'd like. An official one would still be required as a formal application process so that you don't need to register. You can just show up. Anybody who I've ever talked to who's gone to it really enjoys the Fox Valley Tech open house because you can get in some of the classrooms, you can meet with professors, they have college recruiters, admissions counselors, financial aid, everybody's there ready to work with students. So a really nice process if your students debating going Fox Valley Tech or moving forward with a different university, but certainly something to check out and be knowledgeable about. We did mention that we do have those military recruiters coming in. So keeping in mind that we have Army recruiters coming in the first Wednesday of every month, Air Force comes the second Wednesday, Marines the third, Navy the fourth, and the National Guard comes the second Thursday of every month. Certainly, I have contact information on our website for all of these military recruiters. Students can reach out to them individually and ask if they want to set up a meeting in our building or if you'd like to set up a private meeting outside of school as well, totally fine. But the days that we have them set to come in to Commons during lunch would be on these set dates. So you can tell your students to have conversations with them. Financial aid and the FAFSA. So, FAFSA does a great job of keeping us on our toes. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. So your student's financial aid package. They have changed over the years, and they are sticking with December 1st this year as their opening date for this year's seniors to be able to apply for next year's financial aid. You might hear that there was an October 1st date, and we were just told a couple weeks ago that they're opening to limited participants to complete the October 1st deadline. So we are saying December 1st is what we are told. We confirm that with the FAFSA program and our recruiters there, or our representatives, sorry. So December 1st, you'll be working with your student to file the 25-26 FAFSA using your 2023 W-2s and taxes. We do have a FAFSA parent night coming up because I feel like there's always so many questions and we're happy to answer it, but we want to make sure that we have those professionals there. So FAFSA parent night, we will have a FAFSA expert to come and meet with parents and give us a presentation, answer all of your questions, let you know not only about the FAFSA, but how to pay for college, scholarships, all the things, grants, loans, what's the difference. That will be on October 1st. From 5 to 6:30 in the high school commons. So FAFSA Parent Night, October 21st. Keep in mind that that one is not going to be recorded. We have that one in person. And we do have our representative from Fox Valley Tech will be there, but keep in mind, it doesn't have to be that your student is going to Fox Valley Tech. Financial aid officers are happy to help any student going to any college, and they will advertise that you can have a student who's going to Madison and they can go to meet with a FAFSA representative, financial aid representative from Fox Valley Tech or from UWGB. So Fox Valley Tech feels so strongly about that they actually host drop-in sessions where you can just show up with the correct documentation and they are happy to help you complete the FAFSA for any college that you plan on going to. So again, 2023 taxes would be needed for it. If you plan on going to one of their FAFSA Thursdays or their drop-in sessions, you would need those 2023 tax returns. Any untaxed income records such as child support or veterans non-education benefits, you'd want to bring those. Information on savings, investments, business assets, and farm assets, if applicable. You should bring a cell phone because FAFSA does link with an account that you can verify through your phone. So they're saying bring your cell phone, your driver's license, social security number, because it is filed under your social security number. If you don't, you'd be looking at that alien registration card or the permanent resident card. And then date of birth of parents and an email address. So I know it sounds like a lot, but we have worked with them for years. They are able to get our kids FAFSA completed with as little errors as possible and do a really great job. So just reiterating, FAFSA opens up December 1st. We are hosting a FAFSA parent night for you to be able to get some more information, learn about it ahead of time, and then happy to answer any questions that you have. We do, sort of tail end of the FAFSA and paying for college. We do have a scholarship website. Miss Van Aston, I call her my scholarship bulldog in the most loving and caring way because she does such a good job of finding all the scholarships that are available for our students and making sure that they're pushed out to kids. So we have the link. Miss Chevermont will put that in the chat for you. But if you go to the high school website under our tab, we do have a scholarship page. And I would say check back to that regularly because Miss Van Aston, as she finds more scholarships, will put more on there. I think in prime scholarship time, we're talking about like 20 pages worth of Excel spreadsheets that she can get in there. And she does a great job if it's an online application, which most are. She has the link on there. She's got the deadline. She gives you a little synopsis of what a good applicant is for that specific scholarship. If you need a specific major or going into a specific program, she's got all that information in there. But I do also have kids who say, all right, well, you have the scholarship page, but like, where else can I get money? Well, we talked about FAFSA. Colleges will offer student scholarships, sometimes based on their financial need, based off of academics. So talking about that ACT score or looking at their transcript. But there are also websites out there. So, the third location to look would be some of those search engines. And I would say that there are a good majority of them out there that are reputable. We do advertise those on our website underneath our scholarship page. The thing to keep in mind is that it is free to find all those scholarships. So if you're on a website and they're asking you to put in credit card information or your social security number, that is 100% a scam. If you have a question about a website that you're looking at or wondering if it's reputable, certainly let us know. We're happy to take a look at that for you, but don't put credit card information in, don't put social security, everything's out there for free. And Miss Van Aston does a pretty phenomenal job finding it. So honestly, I would just go to her website and take a look at what's on there. I would say prime scholarship time for our students is going to be February, March timeline for some of those deadlines. There's some before, some after, but if your student can work on getting their letters of recommendation now, or taking a look at how many volunteer hours are needed for that specific scholarship, those are all things that they can be working on now to make sure that when it comes time to actually submit that application, it looks bright and shiny and looking really good. Just a friendly reminder, we have a phenomenal program called the Start College Now program. That's through the technical college system. We also have the early college credit program through the UW system. That is where our students are able to take classes either online or on those campuses. The districts will pay for books and tuition. And we work with students to modify their schedule here so that they're not missing Hortonville High School classes and they're able to go to those campuses or work online to attend those. That application process to get the ball rolling on that is tomorrow, so October 1st. We've been putting in announcements. It's on the monitors. We've sky alerted and sent out information, but just making sure that you all know that October 1st, tomorrow, by the end of the day, is the deadline for both Start College Now applications and the Early College Credit Program applications. Keep in mind, we're not talking about CAP classes and we're not talking about transcripted. So if your student is in pre-calc TC or maybe CAP writing 101, those are not part of this program. That's something else. So you do not need to complete an application for transcripted courses, articulated courses, or CAP, different programs there. We're just talking about gaining approval for Start College Now or Early College Credit Program. One way to check to see if those credits will transfer from the institution that you're looking at participating in that program for would be transferology, looking at, student has taken X course from Fox Valley Tech. How does that transfer to Stevens Point? Really helpful program is transferology. Tomorrow, October 1st. Okay, turn them in. All right, we do have some students who are really excited to leave us, and we are sad to see them go, but they have decided that maybe they want to graduate early. So if your student is graduating early, make sure that they know that December 1st is the deadline for that application. And really, I would say it's not so much an application. I always tell kids it's more of like a scavenger hunt for signatures. They need to come to their counselor, make sure that they get signed off, that make sure that their credits are all in line and they have everything that they need to graduate before the end of first semester. So if your student hasn't had a conversation with us, make sure that they're coming in because we need to make sure they have enough credits and graduation requirements are completed first semester. Um, but they're just getting signatures, verifying they don't have any books checked out or any fines, making sure that attendance is good, that they don't have any major concerns with that. The only thing that does take a little bit of time as part of that application is that they do need to include either a letter from an employer stating that they will be offered full-time employment upon graduation, either that they will be going to school full-time, or part-time of both. So that is really the only thing that takes a little bit of time, but December 1st is the deadline for those early graduation applications. They are found right outside the counseling office. I believe they are either bright pink or bright purple, so they stand out, and students need to make sure that they have all those materials. I should also say maybe they're joining the military. That would be an option as well, and getting that letter in there. So pretty easy application. I think our kids should just stay. Hortonville High School is a great place, but some feel like they're ready to go a little bit early, and that's all right too. Want to also advertise that there are two ways that you can get information to us. Our counseling team here has a Instagram page, so it's Hortonville_HS_counseling. So if you would like to find us, we do post information on there about parent nights, deadlines, some important things like that. There is also a Parents of Hortonville High School Facebook page that Miss Van Asten does a great job of pushing information out on. So if we have field trips or there's fun things going on in the building, she's got that, but also some of those important deadlines she's making sure I advertise. So if you aren't already on those two platforms, make sure that you're adding us and getting some more information from us as well. We do also Sky Alert a lot of information. I know I do hear from parents who say, you know what, you guys Sky Alert a lot. We got a lot of cool information we want to make sure you have. So do your best to read those things so you're not missing any of those deadlines or information that we have. If you need anything from the three of us, our email addresses are here. Happy to answer anything specific about your students. So it's just our first and last name at hasd.org. Like I said, we know that everybody's unique, happy to support everybody and answer any of those specific questions that you have. So that is the main part of our presentation. And now it's time to open up for some of those questions that you might have. So if you haven't already, put those in the chat. Ms. Winch or Ms. Chevermont can go ahead and answer those as they feel for the good of the group. Do we have anything coming through, ladies?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Jessica, I see that you raised your hand, but we don't have, like, everybody's muted, so you just got to put it in the chat, and then we're able to answer it for you. All right, well, then I would say if we don't have any questions popping in, then we look forward to any emails or phone calls you might have for us. I'm happy to answer anything that you have. Otherwise, send your students in to come hang out with us. They can either make an appointment or just drop in to see you for free, but let us know how we can be a support moving forward on this big phase of life that they're getting ready for. So thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate it. Get out and enjoy the nice weather before it turns cold tomorrow.